it's time to start looking at variations of this formula and figuring out some stuff. I want to just do a straight, simple formula right now. Simple question, then we'll get into the more complicated stuff. Okay, so look, $7,000 is invested in a 6-year. Okay, so now you know the time is 6 years. You know that 7,000 is your initial investment of A naught. Okay, keep reading. The GIC compounded quarterly. So N equals to 4 at a rate of 5% per annum. What the heck is annum mean? It's a short form of annual, which means every year. So your interest rate is 0.05% or 0.05 as a decimal. So, okay. Total, we have no idea because that's what we're after. It says determine the value of the investment at the end of the term. Okay, so total, we don't know. Initial investment, $7,000. Must be nice. Interest rate, 0.05. N, okay, quarterly, 4 for a time of 6 years. Watch the formula on how easy this is. I put the formula up here purposely, okay? So your total investment, right, equals to $7,000 initially, 1 plus your interest rate being 0.05, compounded quarterly. Now, 6 years means you have to multiply these two numbers together. That works out to be 24, right? That's going to be the 4 times 6 up here, or 24. All you got to do is throw that in the calculator, and you're good to go. So my calculator's going right here. There's $7,000. Right. 1 plus the interest rate. Remember, it's quarterly. So put your fraction in there. Your fraction being your annual interest rate divided by how many times it's compounded, which is 4. Okay. Bracket here. Total of, well, if you want to put the 4 times 6 down, you can. You can put it to the exponent of 4 times 6. You're investing here. Quarterly means 4 for 6 years. Easy peasy. Punch it. You actually make $9,431.46. Not a bad little investment, hey? But again, the biggest problem is you're tying up your money for how long? 6 years. A lot can happen in that 6 years. And that's the problem with some of these GICs. Some of the GICs, depending, read the fine print. If you pull that money out early, you make nothing. You get the $7,000 back. That's it. If you leave it in there for the 6 years, then you make the extra $2,431.46. That's the biggest problem. That's the dilemma. You got to be able to look at this and make an investment on the long term. Okay, so now let's start playing around with this formula. Look at this next question. Example 8. Christine invested $2,500. Okay, she's invested it for 4 years. Okay, so this is our A naught. 4 years, that's our time. Okay, compounded semi-annually, so N equals to 2, right? And she received $843.26 in interest. Well, what does that mean? Well, that's how much you received in interest. That does not mean that's your total amount. Your total amount here, AT then, would be the $2,500 plus the $843.26 of interest. Interesting. So she's actually, her final investment is a total of $3,343.26. That's what AT is. Oh, tricky, hey? Okay, so let's start putting the numbers in. Your initial investment was $2,500. Your interest rate, well, that's the thing. I don't know what it is. Read the question. What's the annual rate of interest? Okay. Then you got to remember this is semi-annually, so N equals to 2 for a total of 4 years. And remember, these two are going to be multiplied together to give you 8. Okay? Big, huge difference. So how do we figure out this interest rate now? Well, unfortunately, we might need to do our y1, y2, but let's just see. I might want to just see if I can solve this without using the graphing calculator and the graphing part of the graphing calculator. Got it? Okay, so remember what your AT is. Your AT is 3,343.26. Let's punch the numbers in. A naught is 2,500. Okay. 1 plus your interest rate, that's the guy you're trying to find. The number of compounding periods is 2 to the power of 2 times 4, which is a total of 8. You know what? I think I might be able to solve this without having to graph it. Let's see. First thing I would do then is, since that's multiplication, divide both sides by 2,500. Okay, so divide that by 2,500. Oh boy, let's throw this into our calculator right now. So 3,343.26 divided by, 2,500 gives you going to be an ugly number. I have this funny feeling. Oh yeah, that's an ugly number. That's going to give you 1.337. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's just go back to here for a second. This is 1.33730.4, right? Equals to, look at this. That cancels, leaving you with 1 plus I to the 2 to the power. Oh, hey, I can solve this. All I have to do is something really weird. I have to get rid of this 8. So I'm going to take the 8th root on both sides. Oh my goodness, the 8th root. Okay, how do I do that on my calculator? Pretty easy. Hit math. There's a wonderful number down here. Number 5. Look at this. It says x root of. I'm going to hit it. And look what comes up. I can put my 8th root. I can mouse over here. That's that. So I'm going to go up. I'm going to grab this number, and I'm just going to pop it in there. See what I did? Hit enter. Look at the number you get. You got 1.037. So this works out to be right now, after you've done this, you got 1.037 equals to 1 plus I over 2. Oh my goodness. Well, this looks really nasty right now, doesn't it? Yeah, it is. But you know, you can see it. Subtract the 1 from both sides. This is looking really ugly right now. So we're going to subtract the 1 from both sides. Boom. That gives me this, right? Okay. Still not finished yet. I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to move this and say you got 0.037 equals to I over 2. Now cross multiply. Times this by 2. You find the interest rate. That's all you got to do. It's a simple algebra question once you see it. So take this guy, multiply it by 2. You're going to find out that you got a 0.074 interest rate. Oh, okay. 0.074 interest rate, which if you think about it, as a percent, you made 7.4%. Actually, that's pretty darn decent. 7.4% interest is actually pretty great. Wow, so that wasn't so much an exercise in how to do things and understand things. It was more of an algebra exercise. Well, let's look at this last one. This should be interesting as well. Here's another big question. And this may require us to do some more stuff on our calculator and some more interesting algebra. Okay, Barbara invests $8,000. There's your A naught, 8,000 bucks. Okay, in an account which pays a compound interest of 6% per annum. Okay, so your interest rate is 6%, 0.06. Beautiful as a decimal. This is compounded monthly. Aha, that's 12. Okay, how long would it take in years and months? So we're looking at time. We don't know our time. So that she can make double the value. Well, think about this. Double the value is 16,000 bucks. She wants to double her investment. How long does she have to invest it for? That's the question. Well, that's pretty easy. Let's just figure out the formula. There it is. So there's 16,000 then, right? Your initial investment is 8,000, right? Okay. You've got an interest rate that is 0.06, 0.06 over 12. But now look at the top here. Don't forget, this has to be multiplied. Your time has to be multiplied by 12. So this is going to be 12t. Well, that's nasty. That's really nasty. Well, let's see if we can do a little preliminary stuff before we get going here. Divide this by 8,000. Divide this by, oh, hey, wait a second. Look at that. 16,000 divided by 8,000. Yeah, that just means you're doubling your interest. You're doubling your your amount, your investment. Oh, okay. So that's 1 plus 0.06 over 12 to the 12t. Now, the only way you can solve this is if you go into your calculator and do the old y1, y2 thing. Otherwise, whew, the algebra behind this is crazy, and you haven't learned logs yet. Once you learned logs, this is a logarithmic function, and we can figure it out. But for right now, let's do it quick and simple using our calculator. So y1 is going to be 2. y2 is going to be that nasty thing that we had earlier. Bracket 1 plus. Remember, you had a fraction there, so throw the fraction in there again. Your fraction, of course, being 0.06 over 12. Remember, compounded monthly. Bracket to the power of, now don't forget, because it's monthly, it's 12 times whatever the time is. X. There you go. Chuck it in your calculator. Graph this thing. Let's see what it looks like. Let's go zoom standard and see what it looks like. Oh my, that's kind of interesting. Well, remember, you might have to extend your window a little bit. Let's go to a Y max of, oh, I don't know, let's go 20 and see what happens. Graph it. Ah, there we go. Now I can see the intersect. So I can go second calc. I can figure out the intersect 5 and just enter, enter, enter. I've got a number 11.58. Now, what does that 11.58 mean? That's 11.58 years. Okay, that's 11.58 years. So we got 11 years, but we have to figure out the months now. Well, we got 0.58 of a year. How do you do that? Well, that's pretty simple. 0.58 of a year times 12 months per year, you end up with 6.96, pretty much 7 months. Okay, so this will be 11 years, 7 months. Okay, so now we've looked at all of the little nuances of this formula. I think by now you got it, right? Let's go make some money. Ow!